What made you finally quit teaching? I taught 8th grade English for 6 years at a middle school in a wealthy suburb where the parents had more lawyers than the kids had brain cells. Most days I loved it. I loved watching kids fall in love with books. Loved the moment a struggling reader finally got it. Loved being the teacher I wish I had growing up. But the parents made everything difficult. They emailed at midnight demanding grade changes. They called the principal when their kid got a B. They showed up unannounced to observe my lessons like I was on trial. I learned to document everything, to cover myself, to never be alone with a student without the door open. I thought I was prepared for anything. I wasn't prepared for the Ashfords. Their son Dylan was a smart kid with zero motivation and a mouth that got him in trouble constantly. He disrupted class, made fun of other students, and turned in maybe half his assignments. When progress reports went out and Dylan had a D, I got an email from his mother that same night. She demanded a meeting with me, the principal, and the superintendent. I thought she was being dramatic, but I showed up with my gradebook, my documentation, every missing assignment, every note I'd sent home. I walked into that conference room ready to defend myself. What I wasn't ready for was Dylan sitting there with a bandage wrapped around his wrist and tears streaming down his face. His mother spoke first. She said Dylan told her I'd grabbed him by the arm and shoved him into a desk during class. That's where the bruise came from. She said he'd been having nightmares, that he was scared to come to school, that this was assault, and she wanted me fired immediately. My stomach dropped through the floor. I had never touched that kid. I had never touched any student in 6 years. I looked at the principal waiting for him to defend me, but he just sat there with his hands folded. The superintendent asked if there were any witnesses. Dylan's mother smiled and said yes. 3 students were willing to make statements. I felt like I was going to pass out. I asked to see the statements. The superintendent said that wasn't possible during an active investigation. I was placed on administrative leave effective immediately. They escorted me out of the building like I was a criminal. Teachers I'd worked with for years wouldn't even look at me as I walked past. For 2 weeks I sat at home waiting for the investigation to conclude. My wife could barely look at me. My own mother asked if maybe I had grabbed him and just forgotten. I stopped sleeping. I lost 15 pounds. I started Googling defense attorneys who specialized in cases like mine. Then I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was one of my students, a quiet girl named Priya, who sat in the back row and never caused problems. She told me she knew Dylan was lying because she'd seen the whole thing. Dylan had tripped over his own backpack walking to his seat and slammed his arm on the desk. He'd laughed about it with his friends. She said she wanted to tell the truth, but Dylan's mother had already talked to her parents and threatened to sue them if Priya contradicted the story. Her parents told her to stay out of it. But Priya recorded that conversation without her parents knowing, and she wanted to send it to me. The recording was clear as day. Dylan's mother coaching Priya's parents on what their daughter should say, threatening them with financial ruin if they didn't cooperate, and at one point laughing about how easy it was to destroy a teacher's career. I sent the recording to the superintendent that night. The next morning, I got a call saying the investigation was closed and I was cleared of all wrongdoing. Dylan's mother tried to claim the recording was manipulated, but the school's IT department verified it was authentic. I was invited back to my classroom with a full apology. The superintendent even offered me a small raise for my trouble. I walked back into that building, looked at my empty desk, looked at the principal who never defended me, looked at the parents dropping off their kids who had already decided I was guilty before any investigation, and I felt nothing but disgust. I declined the raise, submitted my resignation that afternoon, and never set foot in a classroom again. I'm a technical writer now, and I make twice what I made teaching. Dylan's mother was never charged with anything because apparently coaching witnesses isn't illegal if you're rich enough.